Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. Now, according to a new report, Labour is reportedly creating a secret anti-reform database to undermine the rising threat of Nigel Farage's Reform UK. The Downing Street-linked think tank Labour Together, which I believe is run or headed at least by Jonathan Ashworth, the former Labour MP who narrowly lost his seat in the election in July, is allegedly strategising to position the party against reform instead of targeting Kemi Badenoch's Conservatives. And this news, of course, comes on the heels of a week where reform consistently outperforms the Tories in national polls, with some surveys even placing Farage's party in the lead, such as this one from pollsters Find Out Now. So the big question is Labour finally seeing Reform UK as the real threat it is? Well, I'm joined now by Reform UK Mayoral candidate for Greater Lincolnshire, Dame Andrea Jenkyns. Good evening to you, Dame Andrea. Thank you for your company. What did you make of this report then? Jonathan Ashworth, Labour Together, they're compiling a secret dossier to take you down.
Look, they are massively running scared. I mean, the candidate against me who's for Labour, he's actually going in all the Facebook groups locally and making out as an independent, failing to mention his Labour. But they are... I mean, did you see the line they're trying to use about privatising the NHS? I mean, I recall, God, years ago, probably 15 years ago, going to an event where John Major was, this before he went very woke. And he said to me that even when he was first an MP, Labour have been saying they're trying to privatise the NHS, that the Conservatives are. So they're using that same strategy now on the Reform Party. And, you know, nobody's ever believed that. And so that's what they're trying to do at the moment. But
so just for clarity, what do you want to do with the NHS then?
Well, I mean, look, whatever the manifesto it'll be, things change, don't they? We're still 4 years of manifesto. I mean, when I studied my economics, I did it on the reform of the NHS. And I think it should always be free at the point of service. But we need to look at different ways of funding it, because it's you know, especially with an ageing population, it's a never-ending pit of money, isn't it? But that's my own view. So
how sorry to stick on this. I mean, as you brought it up, we'll just continue on that for a second, if you don't mind. Yes. How would you personally like it to be funded if it's going to be different from the current setup?
No, as I said, this isn't a reform policy.
No.
But
just you.
When I studied my economics and did my dissertation on this, I looked at different ones around the world, and the Taiwan was amazing because it was part insurance, part socialised by the state, but it was still all free. And there, it was amazing in the fact that you could, if you needed a hip operation, you're in there seeing the consultant, the GP's missed out, you go straight to the consultant and you're seen within a month. I mean, I went to Taiwan and see it. It was amazing. Yeah. So, but we'd have to look at a new system, what's right for Britain, really, because every different country has a different healthcare system. So we would have to really have a tailor-made one for ourselves.
OK. Talk to me, Andrea, about this massive announcement today from Reform, from Nigel Farage. What's going on the 28th of March, I think it is?
Yes, I mean, I'm going to be speaking as well. It's one of the biggest rallies that we've ever seen in Britain. And it's very exciting. It's going to help launch the local election campaigns. That's why I'll be there for the mayoral, the councillors and some great guest speakers. And yeah, I mean, did you see as well, there's going to be one later in the year on Blenheim Palace. So it's all exciting. I mean, I was at, only this weekend at the one in the northeast, and I put a tweet out. God, the atmosphere, I've never, ever experienced anything like this, Ben. It's electric, and we never had this in the Conservative Party. No,
that said, do you think Nigel Farage is taking inspiration from his ally in the United States, Donald Trump? Because his rallies, traditionally, they've been described by his own admission as almost sort of rock gigs, big concerts. They're more than just political speeches. They're full of energy and, you know, razzmatazz and everything else. Are you taking inspiration from what's going on in America?
Yeah, I mean, Nigel's always done things his own way. That's why he's successful at what he does. So he's always got a unique approach. But I think that, look, Nigel was there in the very first Trump campaign, wasn't he? So I think he saw how it's done and it's good influence. But can I go back to your first question as well, though? Because
I can't remember what it was. Remind me.
You mentioned about reform, but do you know Conservative MPs now have come out attacking me? So I think Conservatives also see reform as a major threat. I mean, the amount of Conservative MPs just piling on me in social media now. So I think...
What are they saying?
Oh, just trying to undermine me and say that I haven't been speaking out on net zero, yet I have for years. I copied my tweets and said, look, this is a load of rubbish. And so, and some of the newbie ones are just constantly trolling me. And so I think that both the major parties are running scared because we are the only party that's listening to the public.
Well, I guess, Andrea, the electorate will make their minds up when it comes to you, especially in the Greater Lincolnshire mayoral elections. When is it? It's May, along with the council elections, right?
1st of May. So then we'll find out.
And
it's going to be an interesting election anyway.
And just very briefly, if you do lose, what are your plans for the future, or are you not even thinking about it?
Look, I always play to win. When people, I like it when people don't think you can do something. When I stood against Ed Balls, people said I can't do it. So you've got to, as any candidate in an election will tell you, you go to win. OK, Dame Andrea Jenkyns, thank you for your company. Have a good week. And we'll catch up soon. Let's get the thoughts of my panel now. Will Kingston, Chloe Dobbs and Stephen Pound. Stephen, you were muttering and shaking your head during that conversation. What were you muttering about?
I don't want to damn poor Andrea, because I was in the House with her and I got on really well with her. She's actually she was an extremely good MP and she's a very bright woman. She's also a classically trained opera singer. She's probably got another career waiting for her. No, I think, first of all, there's no secret group of conspirators gathering in the tenebrious gloom of the cellar of the Labour Party headquarters plotting about reform. We're talking about it morning, noon and night. We'd be insane not to be. And the answer to reform, pure and simply, is A, actually look at what they're proposing, not just what they're opposing, but secondly, start giving people what they want. Start listening to people. Where reform is playing us off the field is the fact that they speak with a more authentic voice for the people in the street. Labour Party has, unfortunately, in some cases, drifted away. We need to get right back to that. What the Liberals, and I don't like to swear at this time of night, but what the Liberals used to talk about pavement politics actually makes a lot of sense. Nigel Farage is not just a one-man band. There is definitely a mood out there. And it's not just a plague on all your houses, to hell with a lot of you. It's people need to be listened to and people need to be respected, and we need a different course.
All right. Will?
I agree entirely.
That's damned you, isn't it?
No, I think that's right. I ultimately think this will come down to how well the economy performs in the next 4 years, and that's how populist parties get their start, is if indeed the economy is not going poorly.
Chloe, last word to you before we move on.
I mean, I'm actually going to agree with Stephen in that having some sort of secret list is not going to bring down support for the Reform Party. The main issue that is driving Reform support is immigration.
Yeah.
The biggest threat to Reform Party is a Labour Party that actually brings down both legal and illegal migration. I'll believe that when I see it, but that's the best thing they can focus on if they want to kill off the Reform threat.
Yeah.
I'll just make a note of that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, there we go. Take it back to Labour HQ, Stephen. There we go. Fresh from the horse's mouth.
Well, do you mind?
No, sorry. You know I love you.
The angel's mouth.
Right.